Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
Welcome back, traders. How are we doing,
I wake
guys?
up to a
God
little
bless
bit of
each and
drool
every
on my
single one of
pillow, feel
y'all.
like it's
I
for
hope
me.
you're having a stand-up freaking Monday afternoon, and we have 24 hours until GameStop's annual shareholder meeting for ticker symbol GME. Now, what does this mean for our share price? Well, oftentimes you see some excitement, retail-driven, institution-driven, whatever you want to say, right? Into these meetings, and you'll see a little retracement afterwards. So 24 hours left, and the chart is freaking booming, guys. We're going to start with GME. We'll cover AMC and then cover the broader market. But I wanted to start with GME very particularly because of the freaking chart, guys. You're set up beautifully here, and you're following through on the inverted head and shoulder structure that we had talked about in our last couple of calls on GME, right? So you have this shoulder, head, right shoulder formation that not only, traders, have you broken out of, but you've now seen a shooting star or a gravestone doji, but then a retest of not just the neckline of this inverted head and shoulders, but also, traders, friggin' boom, 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 right? That's what I think is going to be the reaction off of this. Also, guys, look at where you are, right? You're broken back above this down sloping channel formation, right? This bullish channel in which you've made lower lows and lower highs while doing so on lowering volume, right? The volume all across here has been really, really dry and really, really sad, except for this one breakout and retest all the way back here, right? But what you've successfully done today, traders, and currently where you are today, this is probably the most exciting thing on GME in a very long time, is you are back above currently the 200-day EMA on the 4-hour chart. If I go to the daily time frame, you're wicking off of the 50, closing with a potential bullish hammer candle, and you have the 9-day about to cross above the 50, right? This is significantly bullish for the short-term momentum of the stock, and if you see this thing close with a bullish hammer, right, it is freaking over for this range, and you should see the 9 catch up to the 50 and give you that short-term cross that you need, right? This is the last cross that you had on GME from the 9 through the 50, and look at what happened, right? Down 5%, 3%, 1%, 2%, right? That's the kind of momentum to the upside inverted that we expect to happen from this cross of the 9 through the 50. So if you close this strong and freaking with strength, right? There's a good opportunity here for a swing on GME. I love the retest, and I love the bullish momentum here going into the shareholder meeting. Now, I said, right, oftentimes when you see this kind of excitement, you'll also see GME begin to peel back. So just be careful, right? Do your own due diligence, your own DD. But the technical profit target from this inverted head and shoulders is the top of the head to the neckline on top of the breakout. That takes you right around, traders, 2460. What is so important about 2460? For anyone who's listening in the chat, right? Anyone in the Discord, 2460 not only gets you above the 200-day EMA, which is significant on the daily time frame. It also clears back in to this range that you've been rejected from so many different times, right? And in my opinion, gives you a straight shot at this newfound resistance. Get rid of those lines. At this newfound resistance alongside this very bullish pennant-like structure, right? I'll take a little zoom out here for you guys to see. Delete some more lines. Delete. And you can see a very clear and evident bullish flag or bullish pennant from this last run up, right? And so seeing this formation, right, it's only a matter of time, in my opinion, if you see this bullish structure hold, guys, that you're going to see GameStop, ticker symbol GME, absolutely rocket back into this $25 territory. And what's most surprising to me, traders, is that it's happening in a moment in time in which you're not really seeing some clarity on the eBay situation for GameStop. So this is just full-blown bullish price action on the GME chart unless someone knows something, which oftentimes they do. But I do believe getting this cross of the 9 through the 50 will lead to a daily test of this $25 level. Breaking that, traders, is where it gets exciting, right? Because we already talked about the breakout of the inverted head and shoulders. We talked about the breakout of this bullish channel for a while now, right? The technical profit target is, you guessed it, the full flagpole placed on top of the breakout. And now you've gotten a retest of that breakout, guys, potentially taking you up to 28 schmeckles. And this is where it is crazy, right? Because looking at your last projection, it came directly at that profit target, or really, really close to it. So the question here lies is, are you going to fill your gap at 28.42? And are you going to fill your gap at 29.66? Those are your two levels on the short-term time frame to gap fill on GME. You've filled your gaps to the downside, which is Picasso, right? You're now seeing that launch to the upside and healthy movement within these moving averages, these exponential moving averages. I'm bullish on GameStop. I'm bullish as frick as you continue to outperform the broader market and print good candles, right? Getting up here, though, from this profit target of this more structured breakout, right? This bullish flag or bullish pennant, not bullish pennant, this bullish channel, bullish, is going to take you theoretically upwards of $27.75, or just call it $28, right? Doing that is also significant because then you're going to break out from this downsloping resistance and then set it up for a potential, right, breakout and then retest. And traders, if you get that retest, if you do something like that, guys, ladies and gentlemen, apes and apettes, I'm going to lose my mind because you're going to retest a 2-year bullish pennant with a profit target of approximately like 120 freaking bucks, right? And this is where the GameStop trade gets freaking real, right? Because if you see that occur, we have been calling for it for a very long time that you're going to come up here and fill that gap fill at $72. But truthfully, this goes for GameStop, this goes for AMC, this goes for everyone. If you see GameStop at 72.88 filling this daily gap, the only one that is past those other two gaps we already spoke about, is going to bring up the entire small cap basket with it, right? Cost, BlackBerry, AMC. So seeing GameStop being a winner here, which I believe it will be, now turning green on the day, up 0.707% at 22.84, traders. If we see GameStop succeed, which you look at the earnings reports, just massively turning around the brick and mortar business, as well as expanding on these potential acquisitions, right? Costs are low, profitability is high, and you're exactly where you want to be as a shareholder of GME. But you cannot tell me for a second, traders, that this stock at $22.81 is worth the same amount that it was all the way freaking back here, right? You traded at $22 back in January 21st of 2022, right? Fundamentally, you are significantly different as a company. So now seeing where you have the opportunity to expand out of this range, right? I said it once, I've said it again. Absolutely beautiful chart setup. And the only worry here for me is if you reject a possible high here of about 25.89, and then you create this like very sloppy, complex head and shoulders. That's the only worry in the world that I have for this thing, right? But I don't believe that will be the case. The structure just looks different to me. It looks much more accumulative, and it looks much more beautiful, just being honest, right? Just being completely transparent here. So I believe in the long-term trajectory of GameStop, and I like the short-term as well. So if you guys are interested in more GameStop, more AMC, slap the like button, slap the subscribe button to help the algorithm push this freaking channel, baby. And let's continue to cover, because there's more on TradingView particularly, right? If you're interested in the short-term move, right? Which I believe you could getting more short-term action soon, with the 9 about to cross the 200 on the 4 hour, right? A lot of these shorter time frames beginning to snowball that momentum. But also looking at TradingView, right? This is our thesis on GameStop. It has been for a little bit now. Shoulder, head, right shoulder, break that, retest the neckline, profit target of about 24.70, like we were just talking about. However, bring me back my RSI. However, you go to the daily time frame, right? This is the one piece that I would be cautious about, is you're putting in a touch of bearish divergence, right? That is a higher, bearish divergence right here, which is a lower high, but a technical higher high on the stock, right? And so this is where you should be careful, and you should be closely analyzing the volume in this run-up. If I could pull it up. Volume. Net volume. No. Give me bars. Who the heck wants to see lines? Terrible. There we go. That was strange. All right. So you're seeing a breakout on this run up, right? And you're seeing a very nice couple set of days, right? But the volume on the stock has yet to see a big explosion or a change in direction ever since this big move down, right? You've been trading relatively flat in volume, comparatively to your last few run-ups. So this is where I say be cautious, right? Do your own due diligence, but I'd like to see the bulls step in with a little bit more volume, especially if something amazing is announced during this shareholder meeting, right? Something, an update or further clarity with this acquisition of eBay. That is what I'm hoping to see early tomorrow. Let's see. Furthermore, though, on the weekly time frame, traders, this is something that I've covered time and time again. I covered it in the last video, and this was my main thing for GameStop stock, is I wanted to see a break of the RSI band on the weekly time frame, which you've done, right? But you're just narrowly below the 50 line, traders, and crossing that on the weekly time frame is most likely going to come with that explosive volume that we needed, right? Looking at the last few times, taking a little peeky weeky on the stock, right? As we like to say, get out of here. Taking a little peeky weeky just to see when the last time our RSI crossed through the middle, right? You got to cross through the middle, a retest of the band, and then, like we said, right? Follow through 5%, 2%, 6%, right? Marking higher and higher highs as the volume did begin to pick up there. Next time after that, right? This is just me completely freeballing here, by the way, and looking at what I know to be the truth, right? You cross here, and then you cross the 50 line, and as soon as you cross the 50 line, traders, you see the volume, bink, bink, begin to ramp up as the stock price begins to break out. Looking at the last time before that, right, the one time you cross the 50 line, boom, right, 10% to the upside on a week in volume, seeing higher than like the last 4 months of price action. This is kind of the explosive move that I'm waiting for and watching for on GME actively. So whether or not you guys play calls, I do expect a pretty explosive move to happen here on GME soon. Either explosive to the upside or explosive rejection. Just trying to look for the last rejection. So you haven't truthfully rejected the 50 line when testing it in the last 2 years, right? The last true rejection of the 50 line came right here. And this is just a good example to caution yourself and do your own due diligence, right? Looking at this rejection, you saw a 50% downslide. But I do not believe for a morsel in my body that that is what you're getting here. I think you're seeing a breakout. And if you see this thing, whoop, right, begin to launch, it's going to be because you launched past this 50 line on the weekly RSI. On the monthly time frame, let's see, take a close little peeky weeky, and this is what's so unique about GameStop is you're in this position fundamentally changing the company on the chart in a bull flag and then on the RSI, right? About to cross the 50 line on the weekly. The monthly is about to cross the RSI band, which oftentimes has led to these extensions to 27 or higher, right? And if you can see the follow through, guys, this is what GameStop has been lacking within this entire chart pattern. It has been lacking the follow through, and I'd like to see that this time because breaking this downtrend is going to lead to much, much higher prices, in my opinion, right? That's all it is, my opinion. But I really freaking love this look. I do really love this look on GME. Officially broken this resistance line, right? You had a fake out breakout here, but you're now following through for the first time in what feels like forever. Looking at the monthly, kind of got this monthly RSI uptrend here from Genesis, right? The initial squeeze, kind of got it. So that'll be an interesting one to see if you do pull back here. If you can catch a higher low on this uptrend from the RSI. But the short term looks absolutely phenomenal, traders. And I just want to say that, like, genuinely get excited for GameStop, get excited for AMC. Speaking of AMC, it's what we're going to cover next. Because if GameStop wins, we all freaking win as a retail community, in my opinion. Right, looking at AMC, you are playing out that extension to 175. So exactly what we talked about on the stock previously in our last video. Even though if it wasn't what we wanted to talk about, right, it's not what we wanted, of course. But not always is what's going to pan out and what is favored the most popular thing to talk about. But I'm here to give you guys true and honest due diligence to my best abilities, right? So the two most likely locations that you will meet if you fail to hold 174 or 175, right? You're seeing a nice bounce off of it on the 4 hour. So I figured I'd cover that, right? Waking off of it twice is oftentimes a sign of a bottom. If you can see this candle close as a doji or a bullish hammer candle, it will give you, hopefully, right, fingers crossed, the nice momentum to potentially test this downtrend, right? Because now you're sandwiched to where that you're going to meet in the next 4 hours of price, this downtrend or this horizontal support and resistance. And you will see, in my opinion, a larger break or breakout on AMC within this next 4 hours. It's going to be very interesting to see the volume come in. But if you break down, traders, right, that is validating this head and shoulders formation, which potentially would take you down to $1 or $1.12 is what we're targeting for this technical gap fill. It doesn't have to happen, though, because there is a very, very stark support that you have slightly below you. In fact, only 7 to 6% below you, you have this very beautiful and honestly explosive uptrend, right? Looking at the explosive gains, 103%. This tap here, 135%. And then what is going to be your third tap of this uptrend could potentially launch you for another higher high. And that is truthfully what I am watching for very closely this week. Because if you fail to hold this freaking uptrend, guys, unfortunately, it's looking like you're most likely going to come down to 112. But there is so much opportunity that comes along this uptrend. As you guys can see, AMC loves to do this where it absolutely obliterates retail and gets everyone fearing it's over, and we're back, right? It could so easily swing to 318, which is our macro resistance on this freaking stock. But for the meantime, on the RSI, I know we love to talk about a relative strength index. You are making a little bit of a falling wedge here. So we covered that in our last video, but on the 4-hour, you're still developing it. And kind of what I'd like to see, to be honest, the most bullish scenario on AMC is oh no, right? We're losing 175. Retail's so cooked, and then a slow kind of curve back up. Because what that does is it allows the RSI, oh no, right? You're cooked, and then bam, right? This falling wedge could play out to a T and see this thing launch in the other direction right before people begin to swing short. Because what the market makers often like to do is capitalize on all that short liquidity, get everyone thinking that this thing is going to go down, right? You may even see a break of this uptrend and then freaking smash the shorts. But oftentimes when the stock is short, you will see these kinds of moves pan out. And I'm in the belief, right, that AMC fundamentally is in the works of changing the company. So I'm actually pretty bullish in the long term and in the short term. So we will see how this plays out on the weekly time frame. Taking a little peeky weeky at that. You have, let's kind of get rid of some of these trend lines. You have officially crossed below the weekly RSI band, which has never been good, but there is the opportunity to then swing this thing long if you see a bounce in the next 4 hours. So we're going to see really, really soon, right? Is this thing going to find a higher low? Is it going to bounce off the 50 line, right? These are the kinds of tests that will become a beautiful run if you can sustain it. And I need to see some volume off of AMC, right? Speaking of volume, let's see, volume. So the volume week over week over week, right, decreasing. And this is exactly the kind of price action that you want to see coming into a strong, very, very resilient uptrend, right? Seeing this volume ramp up off of the uptrend, right? Volume ramp up off of the uptrend and volume coming down going into the uptrend, for me, is bullish continuation that once you hit this thing, you may just whoosh, right, V-line the other direction. So great sign there, and potentially, right, a beautiful opportunity on the stock. On the monthly time frame, a nothing burger so far. Not a lot to talk about in the monthly time frame, but you are holding your horizontal supports. That's a very good sign. And then on the quarterly time frame, let's get to Webull for this one. On the quarterly, you have officially, guys, and this is huge, right? This is breaking. This is everything that we've talked about in the last 6 months coming to fruition here. The quarterly MACD flipping green for the first time since 2021, guys, is genuinely very exciting. So if you guys are ever in doubt, feeling down, right, in the dumps, take some pride in what this small blip, this 300% move up has done in crossing a macro flip of the switch, right? A great example of a quarterly MACD crossing green and follow through from it. Even though we need to see that follow through from AMC, is HYM freaking C, guys. Look at this follow through off of the quarterly MACD, marking your bottom here at a green doji, and then ripping from 2 schmeckles all the way up to freaking 50. What was the high? $58 freaking dollars, guys. And this very accumulative U-like structure. That right there is the kind of price action that we want to see from our girl Amy in the long term. And of course, every single time I do that, I type in Amy. Looking at the daily time frame on Webull, for AMC, you see a little bit of a rejection of the 50-day EMA, right? And so this is what we don't want to see on a shorter time frame, is the volume ramping up on the daily time frame, the 9 crossing through the 200, and a loss of this uptrend, in my opinion, takes you straight in to that $160 territory, right where your uptrend is, traders. So that price, depending on how you react, right, depending on how you close today, is most likely going to play out. But it's a beautiful, beautiful thing, right? Just looking at the macro of the stock. Swing up, swing up. Theoretically, until that trend is broken, you should expect a swing higher. We'll do one more thing, and let's just take a quick little peeky weeky at the GME warrants, guys. GME warrants. This is strictly for my man, Only in Paradise, because I love him. And you've seen a nice little bounce, right? We talked about this low here on this falling broadening wedge being crucial, as you would see a retest of the 50-day EMA that happened, right? You have successfully retested it. You saw a high of 304, but today you're seeing a whole lot of nothing, man. Whole lot of nothing. You're seeing a bearish engulfing candle, which is disgusting. You still haven't really broken this volume downtrend. And you need to hold the 9-day EMA, otherwise you may make another swing lower. If you close above 282, right? That's currently your 9-day EMA. Am I reading that right? Yeah, 282. It's likely, in my opinion, that you would then see this thing bounce off of it with a little bit of a shoulder head, right? Shoulder formation. To then test the 50 on the daily at 320. So that's what we're watching here as this thing continues to kind of stair step higher. You could see a higher low here, but you need the bullish volume, right? As you see this volume downtrend still very real. Look at the weekly time frame. You are now seeing that cross of the 9 through the 50 on the weekly time frame. Never a good thing, but you can totally invalidate this, right? Not surprised to see this negative 5% after that cross down. So you just need to see volume, guys. That's the biggest thing, right? The market seems like it's a little dry right now. And then looking at the monthly time frame. So you've rejected the 200 on the monthly. So not the best start to the month. Not the best start, but there is still the opportunity to get, right, this breakout of the falling broadening wedge upwards of $5, right? So that's your best case scenario for the GME warrants. Until next time, guys, God bless each and every single one of you. Hope you're having an amazing day. And as always, traders, the best is yet to come. Let's freaking go, man. Woo!